Hey, welcome to a special edition of my radio show with Rick Garcia. It's 11:07, and you're listening to KHTS. Why am I here? I'm just here to take out the trash, basically, and then wash the windows and things. No, we have a special edition for you of my radio show with Trent Irwin. Trent Irwin is a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals who hails from the Santa Clarita Valley, a Hart High School kid who has gone on to do better things, and we're going to get into his background and find out what it's like to be have the life of an NFL player. But we also want to talk to him about what it's like to give back to his community. And so there's a camp coming up in a couple of weeks on Saturday, March 26th. It's the second annual Trent Irwin football camp. It'll be at College of the Canyons in Cougar Stadium. The proceeds are going to go to charity. We'll talk about that charity in a moment as well. But you want to get a pen and write down some information. If you or somebody you know wants to be part of that camp, I have a suspicion you have to be a certain age. So, Andrew, you and I are out. We can't go to camp. We can't catch a couple passes. But you can reach out at press@po3agency.com. Press at po3agency.com if you'd like to get more information on this camp or get tickets. There are some tickets left. Will it sell out? Is there a cap? Oh, there's a...
Yes, there's a cap. So it's at 200. Well, it's good. It's at 200 right now, and then 250 is the cap.
Oh, my gosh, 200 already going to go to the camp. This is Trent Irwin. Welcome, sir. Good to see you again.
Good to be on again.
So what's the age requirement for this?
So 5th through 8th is the grades there. So we'll go 5th and 6th together, and then P7th and 8th grade together.
Those of us getting discounts at Sizzler cannot participate. Is that?
That is the case. That is the case.
All right, let's talk about you for a moment. That's why we're here. It's all about you. You're a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. Had a nice season this year. And for the folks who don't know you just yet, you went to Hart High School. Then you went on from Hart to Stanford. Undrafted, wound up in getting signed by the Miami Dolphins. Later released and picked up by the Cincinnati Bengals. Worse things can happen to people, right? I mean, you weren't drafted, you got released, and now you're catching balls from Joe Burrows. How did that happen?
You know, I don't exactly know how it happened, but I'm thankful for it all. It's been a lot of hard work trying to find your place and find the situation that I can prosper in. But really, it's just been fun playing football.
Well, I mean, from the looks of you, the eye test. People talk a lot about the eye test. And are you 6'2" or are you 6'1"? Because I want the truth here. Because all these media guides lie. The coaches always inflate the statistics of a guy's size, correct?
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Now, we know this because there's a heralded quarterback coming out of college, Bryce Young. Everybody's talking about his height. He measured in at the NFL Combine, I think at 5'10" or something like that. Are you 6'2" or 6'1"? I need the truth here.
We're going to go with 6'1.5". We're going to go right in between.
I remember going back to high school when I played ball. My high school coach put me in at, I think, 6'2", like 190. I was all of 160, and I think 6'1" at the time. And this is high school football. They're lying in high school even. So, all right. And speaking of the draft, are you going to be watching the NFL draft this year?
I'm probably not, actually. I'm probably not. I'll just be chilling at home with fam and doing what I do training-wise, but I probably won't be watching.
What does, I want to get back to the draft in a second. What does chilling at home with fam consist of?
We do a lot of fishing. We do a lot of hiking.
Yeah. Where do you fish in Santa Clarita?
There's really only one spot. That's Castaic.
Okay.
So me and my little bro go up there, and it's
nice.
It's the high pressure. There's a lot of people usually fishing, so we don't always do the best, but we have some fun.
I love to fish. I don't eat fish, which is kind of strange. So it's more of catch and release for me, and I also have a hard time with the cleaning part. So if I go fishing with you and your brother, will you clean the fish?
Honestly, I'm the same way as you. I love to fish. I don't eat fish.
You have people?
I just catch and release.
You have people? Oh, okay. So back to the draft. You were undrafted in 2019. Were you paying attention to the draft that year? Was there any indication as you were coming out of Stanford that you might be drafted?
So I had torn my MCL actually coming out of college, so I wasn't really able to do any of the pro day, any of the combine testing types of things. So, you obviously hope that you get drafted at that point, but it was one of those situations that I expected to not be drafted and get picked up, and then I had options between, ironically, Cincinnati, Miami, and the Tennessee Titans to go to one of those three places, and I had to make that decision within the minute.
So how does that part work? We have the draft. It's such a spectacle now. I mean, it's a highly rated sports program. I love it. I get into it. I'm always paying attention to what my team is doing. I'm doing my analysis going into the draft. So you got day one, which is the first round, then you got day two, which is I think rounds 2 and 3, and then the remainder of the draft, which goes through 7 rounds now, is day 3. In the old days, I think they went like 11 or 12 rounds or 10 rounds or something like that. And you have guys on pins and needles. They're on edge. They're scared out of their mind. You weren't one of them because you were injured and you knew, okay, probably not going to get drafted. The draft ends, and then what happens? Does the phone start ringing?
So the phone actually started ringing in like the 6th, 7th round for me, and it wasn't for get drafted in the 6th, 7th round. It was for free agent opportunities there, and really by the end of the draft, I had to decide where I was going, and it was one of those things that they call you up as an opportunity, but they're also calling other people up. So if you don't take that opportunity, someone might come in and take it before it's available anymore.
So were you getting guidance at that time? I don't know if you had an agent or how that was working out. In other words, if 3 teams call you up, you had to be looking at the roster and thinking, 100%. Boy, they need a wide receiver. Is that how you looked at it?
100%. Yeah. I was looking at the roster, looking at the depth charts to see what type of receivers were there and where I would fit in their systems. And I had like a plan for most teams. Mm-hmm. And when those 3 teams called, I didn't really know it was going to be those 3. I had a feeling that 2 of them, because I had visits actually to their facilities, talked to their coaches there, but I didn't know exactly who was going to offer.
We're talking to Trent Irwin of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a wide receiver for the team, but he's also a product of Hart High School, and then made his journey through Stanford. Not a bad little season for you this year. I say that because you were on the practice squad the year before. Cincinnati goes to the Super Bowl. They get to play the Rams. You were at SoFi Stadium, but you were in civilian clothes, right? That had to be tough, right? Just standing there thinking, "Gosh, I could help here." Yeah,
no, that's one of those a little bit of sweet and sour feeling where you're like, we're in the Super Bowl team. You want the team to do well, but you want to be able to contribute and make plays for your team. That's part of the reason that you play. So it was a little bit sweet and sour, and it was good to get more opportunities this year and just have some fun out there.
And Cincinnati started slowly this year, but got things going. You guys wound up going to the AFC Conference Championship, right, against the Kansas City Chiefs. Yep. What happened there?
Man, it was one of those games. It comes down to the wire, comes down to people making plays at the very end, and they just played. They just made one more play than we did, so it was tough. But I wanted to be a part of the team in the Super Bowl because last year I didn't get to, so that was sort of one of my motivations, and it was tough to be right there on the edge and then have to go home.
Yeah, I think you might get some more chances with this team. You're in a good situation. In fact, let's listen in on a little bit of your input this season.
On 2nd and goal, Burrow. Throwing, end zone, caught in the end zone for a touchdown. That's Trent Irwin. His first touchdown catch of this season.
So I don't know why I'm getting chills. I didn't catch the ball. Do you still kind of feel like, wow, that was amazing? Tell us what that was that we were just listening to.
Yeah, so that was against Pittsburgh, and the play actually wasn't designed to go to me, but it's a 1-2 read, and I'm designed to actually get my buddy open, Tyler Boyd, there, and they passed it off well, and it was sort of like a little scramble to the back corner there, and all you pray for is opportunities in that situation, just to get opportunity to go make a play for the team and get a touchdown. And, to have a play that wasn't designed to go to me but worked out was pretty awesome.
So that's a case of what we hear so often. That's the quarterback going through his progressions, I guess. The first one wasn't open. Where were you on the progression list? Were you number 2 at that point or 3? Or
I was technically 2. I was not a hard 2. It wasn't like, we're going to go 1 to 2. It was like, we're going to go 1. And then maybe 2. So I was 2. I was 2. But
you were 2. Are you 1 on any of the plays?
On any of them, I am on some, but not a whole ton. Not a whole ton. Okay. There might be a matchup where it's a certain coverage, and then I become the 1. It's usually I'll probably be the 2 or 3, and then it opens up.
Got it. And people, I don't think, we're talking to Trent Irwin, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. People don't realize how ridiculously complicated play calling in the NFL can be. Now, I realize some teams, dumb it down more than others? You know, if you're talking about the Rams, for example, it's a high level, kind of a game planning, and off of the Sean McVay tree is your head coach at Cincinnati, so probably a little more complicated than other plans. We heard there's that great. I think it was a post on that John Wolford, the backup quarterback for the Rams, posted of him actually how he practiced memorizing the plays. I don't know if you had a chance to hear it. And we don't want you to give away too much, but how long is it like a sentence? Is it a paragraph when Burrow's in the huddle and he's calling the play? How much information is in there?
It's probably a couple sentences. They're very specific in meanings for each thing. So the first part might be more for the O-line and the protection, and the second part might be receiver routes and all that, but usually there's a play and then there's another play. So usually there's two plays when you go in the huddle, so that when you get to the line, if there's a certain coverage, you can get out of one play and get to the next.
Is that why they need to draft guys from Stanford?
It definitely is a learning curve. You see some people come in from colleges that, don't have that style of offense, and it's like you got to remember 2, maybe 3 plays when you go to the line. And
they're coming out of the huddle probably saying to themselves, slant right, 47 pick blue. You're probably like repeating it as you're walking up to the line of scrimmage. 15 catches, 231 yards, and 4 touchdowns this last season. I look at the 4 TDs, man, that's huge, right? Because that's what counts. You could have 1 pass in the game, and if you got a touchdown, that you've earned your dough there. Why do you think you had 4 touchdowns? Was it? Are you a red zone guy? I didn't watch all of your games, or was it just luck of the draw? Tell me what happened there.
That's a great question. I don't even know. Like college, I was not a red zone guy at all. But I think it just ended up being matchup situations and making the best of the opportunities. I wouldn't say I'm not 6'4", 220 when you say a red zone fade ball guy, but I'm okay with it.
You could do it. You could do that. Sure. Yeah.
As seen.
Who are the 4 guys you beat?
The 4 guys I beat. I had 2 in New England.
Oh.
And then
Bill Belichick must have just been miserable, right?
Yeah, it was. I had a hot start that one.
This guy was on the practice squad a year ago. He's scoring 2 TDs on us. And he's known for his defense, or allegedly. And you got 2 against those guys. You don't remember? You don't have names? You got any names for me?
I don't have any names.
Okay. No. Are we taking breaks in the show today? When's my break? You can say it out loud.
We got about 5 minutes.
Gosh, we got plenty of time then. Okay. So you wind up playing the Chiefs. You lose 23-20. You had a catch in that game. Tell people how an off season can go with a bitter loss like that. For example, I always tell people it's always better not to make the playoffs than to get that close and not make it. What's your emotional feelings about that sort of thing?
Yeah, when you get to those types of games, you're playing the best, and it could be so much of a ebb and flow, or one little thing happen here or there, and for me it was really abrupt. Obviously this year I was like, okay, you're still planning for maybe plane flights or whenever you got to go places, and maybe a thing after season. You're planning for a hotel stay or staying in your place for that long, and to have it just sort of end, it was like, dang, I got to go find a plane flight now. So I had planned to be here next week practicing, and then the next week, and then go to the Super Bowl. That was sort of my thoughts, and that's always the goal, and the team had a lot of things cooking. So to have it just end that abrupt was a little bit like you just sort of left there not knowing what to do.
Just a few points away from Glendale, Arizona. We're talking to Trent Irwin. He's a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. Went to Hart High School, Stanford. And he's got a camp coming up March 26th, Saturday, at College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita. It's a great stadium over there. It's from 10 to 4. All the proceeds are going to go to Foster Youth Independence. And if you'd like more information, you can contact press at po3agency.com. Press at po3agency.com. Because you were an undrafted free agent, we always hear these stories of guys with chips on their shoulder. Do you have a chip on your shoulder? Are you an undrafted free agent with a chip on your shoulder?
I definitely am. When they pick an undrafted free agent, they don't really expect him to stick around. A lot of them disappear. You get drafted, you get a couple years regardless. But undrafted free agent, you're really like, well, if he turns out, cool, but if not, it doesn't matter. So you that's the expectation going into it. And I went into Miami, got cut there, but got one more opportunity with the Bengals and just with the organization to be able to show what I can do. And for me, it was always a matter of time. Like, if I got opportunities, if I stuck around long enough, there wasn't anything that was going to knock me out of it because I felt like I could play at that level.
And so you got the opportunities this season. Where do you think that puts you going into next season?
It definitely puts me in a more, I don't want to say comfortable because that's the wrong word, but more like stable position. But there's so much more to earn, so much more to accomplish there that it's just, for me, it's just trying to get better every year. And since year one in 2019, it's every year has been better. So
yeah, and it's a young team, so everybody gets to grow together. I mean, Burrows is a kid. You're, and I mean that. I don't mean that in any way as a negative. You guys are all young, meaning that every year that you get better, you do it together, right?
100%. You get to build that chemistry, that camaraderie, and we got a lot more years to go get after it.
Exactly. Think about that, because you could take a first-round draft pick who's a wide receiver, and maybe the first 4 years of his career he's had 3 different quarterbacks, right? I mean, that so you just found a really good home over there. And what's your goal for next season then?
What's my goal? I mean, shoot, the end goal is to go win the Super Bowl. That's always the goal. So that's always what we're gonna do to be able to win every game and go win the ship there. Personally, I don't know how, I don't have the numbers down right now, but obviously every year I want to do better than the previous. So that's sort of where my mind's at. And if that's 500 yards, if that's 1,000 yards, that's what it is.
So you guys have some great wide receivers on that roster. Why don't you tell us about some of those guys, and who has Joe's ear?
Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is the dog. I mean, going back to college, that's his dude. And their chemistry is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the things that he can do and they can do together, they attract a lot of double teams.
Yeah. Which is good for
me too. Yeah. And if I can make plays, that's good for the team. So I mean, he attracted a lot of double teams this year. His first year he didn't have near as much. But with that type of weapon, hopefully we can stress everything else, because they got to be able to put an extra guy over there. That means we can protect longer. That means we can create more separation and win on the other side. So it all works together.
Yeah, and as time goes on and these guys get better, and if you've got a room full of really good wide receivers, they all can't hang around, right? Because they're going to become free agents. Yep. Other teams are going to want them. That means everybody steps up, right?
That's the beauty of the salary cap. You got to be able to figure out your pieces to be able to get the job done and win, but obviously while still staying within that salary cap.
All right, we're going to take just a short break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you about, because as I looked at some of your highlights, I saw you get hit a couple times, and it looked like it hurt. So we're going to talk about the hits from high school to college to the NFL when we come back. Trent Irwin, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, is our guest. You're listening to KHTS. Welcome back to KHTS 98.1 and AM 1220. I'm Rick Garcia. We have a very special guest here this afternoon, Trent Irwin, who plays wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. And he's going to be hosting a football camp. It's the second annual Trent Irwin football camp at College of the Canyons. I misspoke. I was saying it was on Saturday, because last year it was on Saturday. The event is Sunday this year, March 26th, from 12 to 4 p.m., and all these proceeds go to Foster Youth Independence. If you want more information about the event, because they have some tickets available, it will sell out eventually, so you want to get your tickets now. You can email press at po3agency.com. Press at po3agency.com. Foster Youth Independence. Why did you go with this charity?
So, interesting story. My little brother, actually, one of his closest friends, ended up being in a foster situation where, in order to stay at Hart, we sort of needed to have a new place, new home. And he wanted to stay with his buddies at Hart. And so my mom actually is fostering him right now. It's Anthony, and he's 16. And it just, being able to see all that, he's been through, but trying to figure out his own situation, have that support system that I'm thankful to have had. It just sort of spoke to me to have, at the camp, to have that thing so we could support them in another way.
Who are some of the guys that are going to be there?
All right, so we got a couple of my fellow receivers. We'll see if some more are coming. They wanted to be they wanted me to let them know a week in advance, and they'll see if they can fly out last minute, I guess.
Oh, they're busy. Are you busy? Is that what they're saying? They're busy.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
By the way, we'll find out if they really are friends.
No, I'll have Stanley Morgan, who's been with the Bengals for a while, playing special teams. Kwame Lassiter was a practice squad, but also got elevated and played some this year. And then I'll have Tim White, who's a fellow Hart Indian, who's playing in the CFL. He'll come out, and we have a handful of others that are played either at Cincinnati, CFL, or from the area. And so I'm hoping to have it, 20, 25 coaches or so with some credibility, whether it be NFL, CFL, USFL, XFL.
What are you trying to accomplish in a camp? What should a young person, and tell us the age groups again, Trenton?
Yeah, so the age group is fifth through 8th. And,
fifth through 8th grade?
Yeah, fifth and 6th will go together, and 7th and 8th will go together. Okay. And then for the camp, I'm just trying to provide an atmosphere with a lot of great energy, just because I think a lot of these dudes, just how they go about practice, how they go about hard, things that might be seen as hard work, they just sort of have a great little energy about them. And, those being my teammates for the most part, and really just trying to bring that to a bunch of kids to go out there, run around, learn some new things, learn about some adversity. Everyone's been through different things, but, hopefully to learn life lessons through football in a camp where we just go out there and have some fun.
Yeah. And and these are padless, correct?
Yes.
For this age group? Okay. Well, and by the way, sometimes pads don't really make a difference. You played in high school, you obviously, Stanford, huge D1, Pac-12, whatever's left of that after this year, school, and now the NFL. Which of those levels have you been hit the hardest?
Oh, man. I mean, luckily, so far, I've mostly been hit by guys my size in the NFL. There are some people that I walk by on that field, and I'll just look at him. I'm like Calais Campbell, he's like a dinosaur out there. Like, the man's like 6'9", 320, and I'm like, if that were to have any sort of, head of steam coming at me, I don't know if this body can handle that. So I haven't been hit by the likes of those types of people, luckily. But, the NFL, has taken its toll. I actually got hit last year and tore my labrum in my shoulder. So it would have to be the NFL. But
last year you did? And
last year
you kept playing? Or?
Oh, yeah,
so how did
preseason.
That? Have you had anything done to it? Or?
I had surgery on it after last year, but during season I just sort of had to let it kind of do its thing.
Heal. And some impressive stats out there at Hart, 285 career catches, 5,268 yards. I mean, was it a run and shoot? It was pro style? I can't remember, but I remember those years where Hart was just gobbling up the yards.
Yeah, actually I played football at Hart with the same quarterback that I played in 7th and 8th grade, maybe even 6th. So we took it to Hart, and we spread it around. But really, my senior year was a lot of just me and him just trying to make plays happen. So that year I went for about 2,000. So that's a lot of that one.
What's your best high school memory?
My best high school memory. My junior year, it had to be we won CIF against Valencia at Valencia.
Okay. Because I shared this is my only chance to ever brag about my football careers when I do interviews like this, because I remember as part of a pep talk, our coach say, hey, whatever happens on the field, you're going to remember this stuff the rest of your life. And he wasn't kidding. I remember we beat Hart my junior year at Quartz Hill High School.
Okay.
We beat you guys 41-0. And the last touchdown came on a 55-yard interception return from me.
Wow.
Right? The next year, I got burned for 2 touchdowns. Same team, same Hart team. I got beat. I got the guy, and I remember the beauty of that, Trenton. And you may have had an experience with one of your coaches throughout your careers. My coach coming up to me after I had given up the first touchdown of the game on a play we practiced over and over and over. We knew that Hart was going to run. They ran the play. There were 2 corners. There was safety in a corner, and the safety messed up his responsibility, so I went to cover his guy, which is dumb. I left my guy catches for the touchdown.
Yep.
He pulls me aside at halftime. He says, look, I know you're better than this. I know you can. And I remember playing the second half and almost knocking my own teeth out because I wanted to prove to him that he was right.
Yeah.
It was just one of those great pep talks. Do you remember anybody that really inspired you that way at any level of football?
Man, I say a lot of pep talks are just between, I don't know if they're really pep talks before a game, but they're like between me and my dad, and usually through some sort of hardship. I mean, I always say hardship as a game that I didn't perform well, because that's probably the most times I've cried. But between me and my dad, just trying to figure things out, of what happened here, how can we not have that happen in the future, and it's sort of a growing experience, and that's why I think there's a lot of life lessons involved, and being able to handle those, frustration situations where you don't do exactly what you want to do, or if you plan months to be able to do for one opportunity. Yeah. And so for me, it's really just been with my dad to be able to try to figure things out and try to take that next best step.
The best defensive back you faced last year?
The best DB I faced last year?
And you could combine the other seasons as well, as if you'd like. But it's got to be somebody that you tried to get open on.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I like Chidobe Awuzie, our DB at Cincy.
So in practice,
yeah. And he's just
like a glove,
a student of the game. Like he understands every move is intentional of his. So to be able to study him, you look at it and you go, wow. So he did that for this purpose. And I always watch him. And one move that worked on him weeks ago might not work the next time because he also is watching that film. So to just be able to compete with a guy who's like a student of the game is pretty cool.
We're talking with Trent Irwin, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. The second annual Trent Irwin football camp is going to be held at College of the Canyons Sunday, March 26th from 10 to 4. We'll remind you again how you can reach out to get some tickets. You want to make sure you get on that list. The best player that you have faced not on your team.
Best player.
In any position.
Yeah.
Somebody where you just stood there and your jaw dropped on the sideline.
I mean, the best player I've faced not on my team. I mean, I would say it's still looking at like Calais Campbell. I can't look at him without thinking he's not real. Yeah. Like someone of that, like Myles Garrett's always also in the same, breath there where you're like, how does a guy who's 6'7", 6'9", 270 run a 4.4 and move like that? Like, I don't want that chasing me.
I always tell people, just because of my years of covering, NFL teams, is when you get up next to some of those offensive or defensive linemen, you see how big they are. Okay, that's one thing. But how fast they can be for such big dudes. You're like, oh, my gosh. And you got some of those dudes bearing down on you, on the defensive line. When a play gets past them and you see some of those guys trailing the play and making the tackle, it's like, how does that happen, you wonder?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing you also got to, like, at that level, you can't be making too many moves downfield because getting hit by a guy with 15 yards a head start of that size, I mean, you might be out for months. So that's another variable that you don't see as much in the NFL as you see in high school is people making all those moves, trying to reverse field. You do that wrong once, and you might not feel
pay for it.
Good.
Yeah. What do you think? I've touched on the Pac-12. The talk of, I guess it's more than talk. USC and UCLA leaving the conference. What's your thinking on all these teams jumping from conference to conference? You were at Stanford, and it wouldn't be the same, would it, if you didn't get to play USC every year? Right?
No, not at all. I mean, we played them every year. California schools played each other every year, and then we played the Pac-12 North every year. But my first thought was how they're going to do plane flights. Like, they're pretty much playing away games every week, and they're going to have, the other schools fly in too. I guess I don't know how that's going to all work because it's like regional. You usually have your schools within a couple hour flight, but to be able to fly 4 hours East Coast, and that's probably going to throw off a lot of things. But they're making it happen,
It's all about what? It's all about
the money.
So Big Ten, which is Michigan, Ohio State, all the teams that you're right are not down the street anymore. Regional is kind of neat because you can develop rivalries, right?
Yes.
I mean, there are some exceptions, like when USC would play Notre Dame or things like that. But now, you don't really have the rivalry unless it's just your inner city rivalry, right?
Well, and what are you going to do playing at Michigan? I mean, you're not going to have that many SC fans there. I mean, you might have some, but they're not going to all fly 4 hours to go to Michigan. Michigan's going to be packed with just blue and freaking yellow there.
Mm-hmm. What'd you think? What's your impression of Patrick Mahomes?
He just makes stuff happen. Yeah, I mean, he just somehow makes things happen that, he was hobbling, and making plays left and right. I mean, he's impressive. He's one of those guys that well, I know I don't want him to have the ball late in the game just because he makes plays. But, I mean, that's that's how the game is, and that's what makes it exciting.
Is he the best quarterback in the NFL? Not named Joe Burrow?
Okay, I was gonna say I'm I'm gonna make that one clear. Yeah, he's the best not named Joe Burrow. I appreciate the little.
Yeah. What makes him so special, you think?
I think he can do a lot. I mean, he's got a strong arm, obviously, but arm only means so much. But he can scramble. They got a good system there. His ability to throw it in weird, awkward angles is impressive in the sense that it's uncanny. It's not something that you always practice. But really, in the end of the day, he just makes stuff happen. He's a playmaker there, and I think that sums up a lot of things that he does. But at the end of the day, that's what you want to have at quarterback is someone who's just going to make things happen in whatever scenario, whether it be scramble, pass, rushing, whatever.
So now I will allow you to kiss a little behind right now and talk about your quarterback, who, by the way, is incredible. So it's not like you have to,
not at all.
You don't have to reach. Tell us why he's so special, Joe Burrow.
I mean, to me, it's just cool to see the way he goes about the game in the locker room and in the locker room pregame and whatnot. But he's just, I mean, like when game day comes around, there's usually a switch that flips for him. And, he might be all chatty or might be all whatever, but when it's getting towards game, it gets a little quieter, and it's just – I don't feel like anything ever gets to him. I feel like it's just really – it's like his little world out there. And he's able to – I mean, to me, like the first time I got in there, I'll run a route and get open, and I've probably had, not a lot of reps with him, maybe a month with him. And he puts the ball in a place that I feel like would take years of reps to be able to have that type of connection. And so his feel there of putting a ball, 30 yards to hit you right in stride when you haven't even thrown with him that much is unbelievable. And I don't even know how to put that in words other than to just, it's a feel.
Yeah, the it factor. You can't really describe what it is, but he seems to have it. But he also looks like he's 12 years old. Do people give him a hard time about how young he looks out there? And he plays like a Grizzly veteran, but he looks like he's, should be playing youth football.
Not a lot of people try to give him a hard time because he just makes stuff happen, and I don't think that's a great idea.
Not a good idea for receivers, I guess, to tease him, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to let him do his thing because he does it great.
We're talking to Trent Irwin. He's a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. Also played his high school career in Santa Clarita at Hart High School, and he's going to be hosting the second annual Trent Irwin football camp at College of the Canyons at Cougar Stadium on Sunday, March 26th. This will be from 10 to 4. The proceeds go to Foster Youth Independence, and if you'd like to get some tickets, this is for kids from between 5th and 8th grade. If you'd like to participate, you can reach out to press at po3agency.com, press at po3agency.com. Do I call you a publicist? What do I call you, Jessica? Your publicist, Jessica, was so excited after that last camp. I mean, she was just – what was it that, got to you when you got out there with those kids that made you say, man, this is so cool?
Well, I mean, first off, having her organization and making it all shake and happen on the day was wonderful. Appreciate you, Jessica. But, just to be able to go out there with the boys that I've, been raised with, going through different adversity team situations, people have been cut, released, and whatnot. But to be able to go out there and just, bring the game we love to a bunch of little kids and just have some fun out there throwing the ball around. And in my city, too, it was pretty awesome.
So we can't get by without talking about your historic career in Hollywood. You were. Can I call you a child actor? Safe to say you were a child actor. You had a couple of commercials. You did a Velveeta commercial. I think we played that last year. You probably don't have that. You do? Let's hear it.
This is great.
Thank you.
Good. When you add Velveeta and Rotel tomatoes and green chilies to chicken and pasta, it's so good, it'll blow them away.
Man, that's good.
Man, that's good.
Velveeta and Rotel.
Man, that's good.
Do you remember your lines?
Man, that's good.
Sounds a little different today than it was. How did you wind up doing, I guess, acting?
My dad actually moved to L.A. from Michigan, And he had his acting career, and he had been doing that for, I'd say, 5-10 years before, he met my mom. And then the kids, we just sort of went auditions with him. And it was sort of our way of, we had like a little contribution there, and it actually helped us buy our current house in the area.
You mean the money from your stuff or from?
Yeah, some of it. I mean, obviously, they didn't just,
and they let you rent a room, basically. So Dad was pursuing an acting career. So that's a story that's very common in Hollywood. People moving from all over, they grow roots in Hollywood, want to pursue, which is such a difficult.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't know what's harder, being a professional athlete or a successful professional actor. It's a kind of a similar situation. What were some of his pursuits at that time?
Yeah, so
tell us your dad's name too.
Dad, Craig Irwin.
What's up? What's up, Dad?
He came to Cali just trying to be an actor, and then like you said, a lot of people have that aspiration, and he's done some TV stuff, done some commercials, and sort of brought the kids on, and we've done like a handful of commercials. I've probably done 5 or so, and some non-SAG commercials, more stuff there. But I also have auditioned for bigger roles, of which I never got.
For example?
Grown Ups. I auditioned for
Was that the Sandler?
Yes.
Spade, was it? I can't
Spade.
remember.
I was supposed to be David Spade's kid with like one of the taller girls or something. He was like a big dude and supposed to be like a bully guy, because I was always big when I was a kid. So a lot of times I got auditioned for bully roles, but I wasn't very good at the acting part of that.
Because you're not very mean? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So I never got those, but I did quite a few auditions for those.
That's why you play offense, right, instead of defense. And anything, I remember a great story. I was interviewing Tom Selleck, and he had great success as Magnum PI, and he'd been in several motion pictures. But he was originally supposed to do Indiana Jones, and was offered the role, but the Magnum PI folks wouldn't let him out of his contract, and so he didn't do it. And then Harrison Ford got it, and the rest is history. There's so many stories like that in Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, we're going to test your knowledge when we come back. Is that okay? You prepared
to talk?
I'll get studying. We're going to talk movies when we come back. Go and start working on your homework. Trent Irwin of the Cincinnati Bengals is our guest here on KHTS, and we're going to also remind you about his football camp that will be coming up to College of the Canyons in a couple of weeks. Stay with us.
Celebrate the new year with the Canyon Theater Guild's presentation of Beehive, the 60s musical. Beehive celebrates the powerful female voices of the 1960s with such timeless hits as My Boyfriend's Back, Be My Baby, Son of a Preacher Man, and Me and Bobby McGee, told from the perspective of 6 young women from their first Beehive dance to the challenges we face as a nation. Get your tickets to Beehive by calling 661-799-2702 or online at canyontheater.org.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and Seafood Restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesdays, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
No words can describe the power of belonging to a group of close friends or being part of a family. Insight Treatment Center was founded more than 20 years ago to give teenagers a community of friends and family as they overcome issues like depression, anxiety, and trauma. The new Santa Clarita location is a COVID-secure environment where distance and good airflow are a priority. As a leader in providing intensive outpatient treatment to teenagers, Insight Treatment Center in Santa Clarita is here to help. Call 888-295-9995 or go online to insighttreatment.com.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back to KHTS. I'm Rick Garcia, and our guest today is Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Trent Irwin. He's got a camp coming up. It's the second annual Trent Irwin football camp at College of the Canyons, Sunday, March 26th. It'll be from 10 to 4. The participants can be in grades 5th through 8th, and the proceeds will go to Foster Youth Independence. If you'd like to get some, if you'd like to register or figure out how to come out and just watch, you can do that at press@po3agency.com. Here's the deal. This whole time I've been mentioning this camp, I didn't know it's free.
Yes, it's free for, like you said, 5th to 8th, just trying to, give an opportunity for kids to go out there, learn the game of ball, have some fun, and, have some good mentors out there to hopefully teach them some life lessons.
So if it's free, how do we raise money for proceeds? Because we want to get people to pitch in a little bit, right?
100%. So the parents in the stands have an option to, give money to proceeds there. There's also Sharkies is sponsoring the camp and giving some food, but there'll be a taco stand there for Sharkies to get some money for.
They'll donate the
coming as well.
proceeds. If people want to donate, the ones that are watching, like if your kid's playing and you want to, hey, your kid's playing for free, but you want to help the charity, they can pitch in and donate, right?
100%.
I love that. This is your second one. What was the idea behind it? Why did you decide to do this camp?
As a kid, I've just been to so many camps. My dad always brought me to little kids camps, and to just be able to have my own. I remember I went to Valencia's camp when I was young. I forget the name of it. When I was like 10, I went to Valencia's camp.
Do you remember who was there? Do you remember any of the athletes who might have inspired you?
Oh, there were some big names there. Who were they, though? A couple of them who played at that level. I feel like Shane Marie might have been there, but it was in that era. And just to, go out there and have some fun playing ball with some guys who, you look up to in that area was pretty unique. And so to be able to have a platform, I figure you got to be able to use it and give back and help some kids and have them have a similar experience there. So that's been my goal there.
If not football, what would you be doing?
Ooh, if not football, what would I be doing? That is a great question. My mom wanted me to go to Stanford just so I had an answer to that, and I don't know if I do. I would say
money well spent, Mom.
That's the title there, but I love fishing. I love golfing.
Yeah, I don't know if you can you make money fishing?
No, not really. And my golf game, definitely not right now.
Okay.
So what would I do? I feel like my other avenue that I have passion for is like animal conservation type things.
Mm-hmm.
So like just sort of really it's been mostly big cats, and just because the world that we're going into doesn't really involve them, and trying to have a system or create a way that we can coexist in a situation would be cool. And so that's sort of a passion of where my heart's at there. But it's really either animal conservation or kids in sports is where my heart's at.
What is your favorite cat?
My favorite cat, I would just say a snow leopard there.
Wrong. Bengal. Yeah, we messed that one up.
Hey, he
I
did
set
tee that
you
up.
and
He did tee that up.
You didn't play volleyball, did you?
I guess not.
What's coming up this weekend? Big event. Do you know what it is? It's really only second to the Super Bowl in ratings every year.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Oscars.
The Oscars.
Right? You don't watch?
I don't watch the Oscars. I'm letting my childhood dreams down, I guess.
Okay, so let's play a little game. All right,
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and then you if you give me the right answer, you'll hear a bell.
Oh, nice.
If you get, all right. If it's a
Okay.
wrong answer, it'll be. All right, you ready?
I just want. Okay.
Okay. Best action movie ever.
Ever. Okay. We'll go with the original Mission Impossible.
No, that's wrong. Whose side are you on? That's wrong. Can you hear the buzzer? Okay. No, best action or drama would be Gladiator.
Gladiator. Okay.
All right.
Okay. I can mess with that.
So now you know how to play. And Andrew, pay attention to me because he's going to get most of these wrong, I think, right? Okay.
I just got
all right.
Andrew.
Oscars are Sunday, right? So we're talking about the Academy Awards are Sunday, and all right, best football movie ever.
Oh, Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is wrong.
Wow.
Andrew,
How is that wrong?
That's his choice. It was
What's the right answer?
Brian's Song, the original, with James Caan and Billy D. Williams.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. This is my quiz, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Oscars are this weekend. We're asking Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Trent Irwin about top movies. Best sports movie ever. Ooh. So not limited to football now. Best sports movie ever. You do have a buzzer over there too, right, Andrew? All right. We'll let him answer at least.
I'm going to go different, even though I think I would repeat, but I want to repeat. So I like Moneyball.
Moneyball. That is wrong.
That was wrong.
No. Yeah. It would be Rocky.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I admit that many of these movies were out before you were born. But they have this thing called Netflix. It's on streaming. I don't know if you kids know about this. But you can, or Amazon Prime, you can find any movie you want to. Now, are you a movie goer in general?
I definitely go to movies. I like my movies. Just wine, dine type of movies, just after workouts or whatnot.
Yeah, so we're big movie lovers in our house. What is your did you see anything recently that you would put your
Top Gun. The new Top Gun was elite.
best movie of the year?
Oh,
See,
for sure.
Do I get a bell?
Ding, ding.
There
Thank
you go. Top Gun is the best movie of the year, and I did not like the original at all.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you like the original?
I did like the original.
It was too corny to me. This one felt real, right?
This was cool.
Anything else you seen that we should know about?
I really haven't seen a whole lot. I saw the new Black Panther, but not in the movie theater.
Okay.
No Wakanda.
Yeah, Wakanda, and I loved the original.
Yep.
Didn't like the second one as much as the original. Yeah.
It was long.
Well, and plus I think the superhero movies.
Yep.
They're kind of overstaying their welcome.
They
But
are.
Don't you agree a little bit? Okay, and that was it. Nothing else you saw that we should
No, I haven't seen a whole lot.
put in our. Okay, so let's talk about where you are in your career. Is this considered your third season? How does that work? Because
So yeah, you talk about
that's important, by the way, right?
That
for
is
players,
important.
right? So
So on paper, it's my 5th year. But as like accrued seasons, where you get a credited season, is my 4th year.
Oh, it is. And and what happens? Why is accrued seasons important? You can tell our listeners.
So after 3 seasons, well, you have to get 3 seasons to get a pension. So if you go through and you get 3 credited seasons, which is being active in 3 games, is 1 credited season. Then you get a pension, and so then when 65, I get a certain amount every month or so.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you go into syndication, but that's I'm focused on this TV stuff. So that's important. So what is your status now with the Bengals? Tell me what happens next for you in terms of contracts and things like that.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a roller coaster year. This year, I was actually cut, and then practice squad, and then week 10, I got elevated and re-signed to the 53. So I was active, and I played the rest of the year. So the next, 8 games, 9 games, and because they signed me mid-year, they actually signed me to this year and then next year.
Okay, so they have control of you for the next 2.5 years.
They have control of me, not next 2.5. They had control of me this year that just happened.
Okay.
And then the next year.
Next year, got it. So that's not a bad place to be. You showed out last year or this year. We say last year. We mean the most recent season is what we're talking about.
100%.
And you get drawn. People compare you to somebody else in the league. Who do you? No, I mean
actually. I don't know if I get a lot of comparisons to other players. For me, I'm just trying to go out there and make plays in the way I know best.
I think Cooper Kupp. You don't hear the Cooper Kupp thing? He's 6'2", 220. About your measurements and everything. He every time you turn around, he's open. You've made some. So why don't you see the comparison?
Because I think I'm me.
Oh, I apologize. In a couple of years, I'll be interviewing a West Ranch kid talking about. People compare you to Trent Irwin. All right, the Trent Irwin, the second annual camp is going to be Sunday, March 26th, 10 to 4 for 5th and 8th graders. It goes to Foster Youth Independence, and you can get more information by calling press at. I hope that's not mine. Oh man, it's everybody's. Yeah. It's raining. Press at po3agency.com. Trenton, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to see you every year, see how grounded you are, and we root for you, whether you're on my favorite team or not. All right, man?
I appreciate y'all
Pleasure
having
being
me.
with you.